I'm Fossil.
And I'm Spawn.
Guys, Spawn is actually feeling much better. You can tell.
Yeah,
the little,
for sure.
The little gleam is back in her eye.
I definitely don't want to die, like, as much. For sure. In all sincerity, like, because I was sick and because I felt so shitty all the time, just life was not fun. And I feel like I'm starting to get motivation back. I'm starting to get just enjoying things back. That sounds like depressive, but I don't mean it like that.
No, you got your mean back. And you know what?
My mean?
You're mean. Because before
Meaning I'm a bitch?
You were too tired when you got hungry. You used to get hangry. And you were too tired when you weren't feeling well to get hangry. You just got sad and quiet.
So
then
true.
Yesterday you had a major at me and I'm like, she's feeling better.
Yeah, I actually had the energy to be upset. Isn't that crazy?
It's true.
But that's so true, because before, I guess, when I would just feel bad and then something would happen that would make me just feel more bad, I would just be like,
Yeah, you got quiet and sad.
and I would just like go and like lay down.
And get tears in your eyes and get the quiver lip. And...
Stop! Get the quiver lip. But now,
she's back.
the monster's back. But yes.
So what's going on? I know you got some hot topics to bring our beautiful listeners.
And I'm not talking about the store.
Let's rile the Fats Army.
So as we are recording this, it is July. It is Cancer season. Hopefully as you're listening to this, maybe it's July. If it's not, welcome back.
Does that mean when you get mad, you're steamed crabs? That was a Baltimore joke. Never mind.
I don't want to be crabs at all. I would prefer no crabs.
Crustaceans.
Oh, that's you.
Moving on.
Anyway, it's July, which means we only have like a month and a half before I head out back to school, right? Back to school season. I'll be starting a new adventure at a different campus in LA for the time being. But this got me thinking about just how life is changing really fast and how I'm almost graduated. So I'm actually graduating a semester early. So I'll be graduating this December, which also means I need to start thinking about what am I doing for a job? Where am I going to be living? All of that kind of stuff. And me being the overthinker I am and the OCD person that I am.
The control freak.
The control freak I am. I started looking up all the different scenarios for like jobs and how much I'd be making a year and in what locations that would be. And then with what the taxes are, so how much I'd actually be taking home.
Mm-hmm. That's actually smart as long as you don't get hung up on the idea of the what ifs.
Right. So now we're going to get into the idea of mm-hmm. But for the most part, for what I would be doing, I'm probably going to be in a major city, right? Which means cha-ching, more taxes. And so I went on...
Higher cost of living.
Higher cost of living, exactly. And the pay, honestly, for like an entry-level position is not great. It's not sustainable, let's say. So anyway, I was trying to like crunch the numbers. Where would that be? How could I make this work, right? And the sad reality of it, honestly, is it wouldn't, which is scary. It's so scary.
You're literally just talking about stuff that so many people are already living, though. So many people are saying that the minimum wage is not enough. You can't survive on it. People
I completely
even
agree.
having a roommate, and they were multiple roommates, and they still live, paycheck to paycheck. They can't really save anything. It's sad.
It's ridiculous, though. And so, especially with someone that has a degree, I'm sorry. This might be controversial, but I just don't understand why, if you have a degree, you're in an entry-level position. Is that not the whole reason for the degree? That just shows me that our education system is failing.
Absolutely.
To the point where you graduate, you go to 4 years of schooling. 4 fucking years of schooling, or a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, whatever. You end up with a degree in the field that you're going to go into, and you still are getting paid like $35,000 a year for a school that you paid upwards of like $60,000, sometimes $80,000, sometimes 30, depending, whatever, it ranges. But you're spending thousands of dollars to not even make the amount that you were spending to go to school.
Right.
For an entry-level position, I'm sorry. If I went to 4 years of school and I can only do an entry-level position, then you did not teach me enough. Then I was not taught what I needed to be taught.
That is very true, because the truth is, no matter what you learn in school, until you're in it, doing it, which is why I think that internships are important.
They're very important.
They should have more of that. I mean...
But also don't feel bad if you didn't get one this summer. They were very competitive.
But we have to morph and change our education system, because it's getting to the point where your degree isn't worth anything. There are too many people with 4-year or more have degrees that are 4 years or more, and they can't get a job anywhere but retail.
But so another thing is, I was talking to all my friends about this, and I was like, I'm sorry, I could make $35,000 working the job I used to work at without the degree.
Right.
If I just worked full time. My brother, who works at Chipotle, is probably making that with the amount he works.
Probably. We'll see.
Maybe a little bit less here and there, whatever. But he's doing the same amount that I'll be making in an entry-level position. That's pretty fucked up, don't you think?
What's screwed up is that we still believe that having a college education means you know what you're doing. And it does not. We force our kids to make a choice, a very expensive choice, on what they think at that age they want to do for the rest of their life. No one knows what they want to do for the rest of their life at that age. I'll fight you on it. I'll fight you all day on it.
Especially because a lot of people who, let's say you get a degree in English, right? And then, a few years down the line, now you're working in insurance. Those have fucking nothing to do with each other.
Right.
Okay? And that just goes to show that the educational system is kind of messed up. That we still value the fact that this person has a degree at all, but it has nothing to do with what they're doing, but it still means more to the freaking interviewer.
As an adult, you look at someone who's younger and say, they put in the time and the effort, and that's what it shows to the older generation. Because, I have to speak for the entire older generation, they want to see a young person who wants it. Right. So to them, if you went to school for it, they have to assume that you've busted your butt to get in that chair.
But it's not the same thing, though, because you went to school for a thing. You didn't go to school for the thing.
But that's okay, because I do also believe that the older generations understand that colleges are not even the same credits, or not the same courses that they used to be.
Right.
I mean, kids today can make their entire curriculum on their own.
But in a way, looking at someone who, let's say, works at like a coffee shop or something, or like a restaurant, and let's say they don't have a college education, but, they have their high school education, whatever, and then you see that they worked their way up the ranks. So they went from like a host to a waiter to a manager to all that kind of stuff, and they worked their way up. I feel like that shows more dedication and more work ethic than going to school in another field and then just happening to find yourself in a different one. Not to say that you can't change your mind after you graduate. That's not what I'm saying at all. But in the way where that person had to take the steps to get promoted, or else they would still be the host, Mm-hmm. I feel like that shows more work ethic than the other scenario.
If there was a way to put... And some teachers might disagree that they already do this, but I don't think it's taught in school, where you ask yourself, what is it you enjoy and what are you good at? And when I say what are you good at, it's usually the thing that you've worked the most on, because that's what you enjoy.
Right.
So whatever that topic is what you should be looking for. Not just because you got good grades in math, should you go into financing, you might hate that.
Yeah.
You might absolutely freaking hate that. But I think we need to have more open discussion about what a future actually looks like, because our future going forward is not going to be that 9-to-5 job anymore. I think the future is opening up, that everybody's air quote fingers side hustle is going to become the new norm.
Yeah.
I don't think that having one job career thing is really going to work unless you're in legal, unless you're a doctor.
Yeah.
The rest of us are going to have to figure out what it is we really love to do, because there's going to be no normal. The new normal is unnormal.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me.
But that's another thing, because in the field that I'm going into, it's really not like a 9 to 5. It's more like a
7-day a week whenever they get to you.
Well, it's like a 9 to 6 plus whenever we need you, sort of thing. It's like...
But that's where you need to learn boundaries.
Of course, but it's still that thing where for what you're getting out of it, and again, like, I love it, so it's like what I'm going to do, whatever.
But it does get you excited. I can see it in your eyes when you talk about it, and your
Yeah.
voice changes. So you definitely are in the right area.
But it's still one of those things where it's like, I shouldn't be working every single day of the week and giving my life to it and not being able to sustain myself.
Absolutely.
That makes absolutely fucking no sense.
Yeah, but that's where you sit down and say, what's not working? What is not
something
working?
isn't adding up here.
Right.
And, I got my calculator out. So why is the sum not adding up? Here's the thing. I feel like it sounds like I'm kind of bashing education, which I am to some extent. But it's not that I don't value education, because I think for the most part, school is very important. Like, obviously, there's a reason we have it. I just think we've strayed, like, so far from what it could be and what it should be that this is all getting kind of fucking ridiculous and pointless. Not that my program has its flaws, right? And it has taught me important things, but like you said, it wasn't until I actually started working in the field where I was like, oh, okay, now I'm learning, now I got it. Where I only used, like, transferable skills, but a lot of the shit I fucking learned didn't do dick for me. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's just like, how much of that, and again, because not everyone is going into what I'm going into, I get it, but those transferable skills are what's important and what we need to be learning. At the end of the day, I really don't think we need 4 years of this stuff that's so fucking expensive that it's just teaching me, like, social skills, and, like, you either have those or you don't after a while. You know what I mean? You just have to practice those. Math is important, reading is important, being able to write things is important, but after a certain point in what I'm doing, you don't really need that. Now, for someone who's like a surgeon, completely different.
Right.
They need school. So I don't want to get that, like, messed up, because there are some things where you need schooling. If you're working with people medically.
But even a surgeon is given a cadaver and has to work on body
it.
Before.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
There's a certain point where the book no longer matters.
Right. Which is why they have the whole internship thing with the doctors. What's it called? They do their
residency.
Thank you. Internship.
Their internship. When you're a doctor and you do the internship.
Aren't you glad I'm not your doctor? Their residency.
Yeah.
You get it.
Yeah.
I just learned a phrase called unschooling. And a friend of mine just told me, and at first, of course, your insides like tighten up and you think, what am I hearing? And it's not the same as homeschooling. But the points are valid. The points are that you basically don't have the whole classroom bull crap, these tests that don't mean anything for anyone, that don't help anybody. It doesn't matter what learning style you are, which I actually just saw that there is no actual proper learning style, that VARC method is a bunch of shit. I actually just saw that they're saying VARC is a bunch of shit.
Wait, I don't know.
Okay, so they say there's visual learners, auditory learners, etc. Yeah. And people, you say, how do you learn? Oh, I have to see you do it. And they're saying they studied this. People just think they are, or they've been told they are, or they've been, here's my word. They've been labeled that way. They took the same types of people who had these thoughts and they did their testing of, here's this, we're going to show it to you with words. If you're, or you're a reader, you're a reading learner, right? We're going to show it to you here. And then the other people who said you're visual learners, they showed it to them. When they switched them and they had, control groups and everything, same
Same scores.
Same scores. So it's really always about the presentation, the teacher, how much time you spend on it, and how much you want to learn it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so all of VARC has actually been, now they're saying the new form. Now I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I think it's fascinating that the past however many decades, or maybe the last decade, where they're like, this is it, and what style do you learn? And they're saying that's bull crap. Yeah. We're always morphing. We're morphing and learning. And the idea that if you don't go to school, now I'm not saying be a lazy ass, but if your parents, put the responsibility back on the parents to raise your children, and you say, mom and dad or grandma or whoever your family unit is, teach this child something that they're interested in. So you're going to teach them, you read them the book that they love to see. They're going to learn to read. Every child, you're going to teach them, ABCs, and you're going to teach them math, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. I would say most of us know how to do all of those things.
Right.
The rest of it, once you learn to read, you will go on to pursue that yourself. It's a matter of discipline. It's a matter of wanting something. And as you need it, you learn. You're not spending, $80,000 to get information that you'll never use, as you just said. Mm-hmm. So you're only going to achieve the information as you need it. So I think that's a fascinating idea. It's not flawless because there's a lot of lazy ass people who just wouldn't do anything, who won't do what they need to do.
I think the only problem with that phrase is the way that they call it. Like, unschooling is probably the worst fucking thing
actually,
that you could
I don't
come
think
up with.
so.
No, because
it's reverse learning what we have already put as
the process isn't the thing I have the issue with. It's the fact that they call it unschooling.
I think it's funny.
Because right when anyone hears that, okay, if you guys don't know what that is, okay, because I think, is it just a thing in Texas?
I honestly don't know how far it stretches across. I know that Texas has it.
Right, because your friend is the one who told you
someone told me about it, and I started asking questions. I was fascinated because I think of the three of you, mm-hmm. I think Clayton would have benefited from it for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
But it would have failed Mikey, and I think it would have made you uncomfortable. Maybe not. You're a hit or miss on that one.
It depends, though, because if I had started it early enough and it was just what I was introduced to, then I would have been like, oh, this bangs.
And if I had been, not in the position of thinking that I wasn't smart enough to help you find your way, if I had been more solid in that, I think you would have.
But I think I just have an issue where it's like, I was told that we had to do this schooling, therefore
you're a rule follower.
I was like, bing, 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 like, I have to do it like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I was introduced to it, I probably would have been like, this is awesome. But no, I still do not like the way that it's presented. Unschooling sounds like you're not teaching someone, or you're reversing it, but like not in like the positive light that you just put on it, in like a negative way. Because even when you first said that to me, even you were like, no.
I have questions about the whole thing. It's like, if you're going to hire someone and they told you they were unschooled, you'd look at them like what
you're an
do you
idiot.
actually? No, not fair. Because, what basis can we now challenge your information that you know without keeping you on a job and paying you? Mm-hmm. How do we know? At least the standards of you must know X, Y, and Z. Not that people can't lie on their resumes now.
Yeah, people do.
So, I mean, again, I have so many questions. It sounds amazing, though.
Yeah. But we couldn't have called it like anything else. You know what I mean?
Non-schooling.
Or like
non-schooling education.
Or just like non-traditional schooling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or something like personalized schooling, maybe.
Well, you
personalized
have
education plan.
Individualized education plans are for people who need
special
help
needs,
and yeah. So I don't think they'd call it that. Although we all have a need in some way, don't we? The amount of labels that have been created just over the past 15 years. My God. Everybody claims to have something, and I'm wondering if we all just don't in fact have something.
Yeah.
Maybe that's true. Maybe we all actually have something, but doesn't matter.
Of course, everyone has different needs, but it's just that we value some issues over others.
I think we need to change our values.
Yeah, I agree with you. I had an experience where I kind of proved to myself where if they tell you something, then you'll believe it. Mm-hmm. In the way where I was pretty good at math up until my senior year of high school. right? Like, I mean, I got A's in all my math classes. I liked math. I enjoyed doing my math homework. Like, I'd usually do it first because I liked to do it. Then I had my calculus teacher. I literally got an A in pre-calc, right? So, like, calculus really shouldn't be all that much of, like, an issue. But I had this teacher that was such a dick that he just made me feel so awful about myself. And therefore, I, like, refused to learn from him.
Let's be clear. He didn't make you feel anything.
Oh, well,
you chose to feel that way, but you two did not get along.
No, we did not get along.
And that probably stunted your want to pursue any more math. But it's not like you wanted to go into anything.
No, but I made the course a lot more difficult for myself than it had to be, because the funny part about it is I would tell myself, I can't do calculus, I don't understand it, blah, 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 blah. And then my boyfriend, who was in college, would come home and he would be doing his calculus homework, and I would quite literally, like, do it with him.
So you were helping the college kid.
Well, I don't want to say it like that, because it's not like he, like...
No.
But he'd be like, oh, do you know what this symbol is? And I'd be like, oh, yeah, this is the process to do that. And he'd be like, oh, all right, cool, thanks.
Right.
But then it was one of those things where I was like, okay, so I do know how to do it.
Right.
Like, you dumbass. Like, you literally know
Sometimes a student and a teacher doesn't make either one of them bad in any way. Sometimes the student and the teacher just don't get along.
No, I really disliked that man. But the funny part about it is, looking back, is towards the end of the year, I think he realized how much impact he had on me, and because I think he knew I wasn't stupid and I would just work myself up, that during a test one time he actually passed me a sticky note that said, "You got this," with a smiley face, and I was like, so now you're being nice to me? It's a little late, but it was a nice gesture.
No, but that goes to prove that not everyone is bad, and a lot of times we put this garbage in our head, and especially you being a teenager at the time, a young teenager, you already had it in your head that he was an asshole.
Yeah.
He did something to piss you off. Okay, well.
Let's be clear. No, when I say that, I mean, like, people to this day that I know from high school are like, that guy's a dick. That I'm not friends with. That I see them posted on, like, their private stories and stuff.
Can I just play devil's advocate, though?
Yeah.
A lot of times, especially in the high school years, you have teachers who are so disgusted with the spoiled brat kids that come through. And we do live in that type of town where the kids are spoiled frickin' rotten. And they act like their shit don't stink, and the teachers are garbage, and the teachers get attitudes. They do. Mm-hmm. Because the kids look down on them. So when you're dealing with that every day, you might not tend to be the nicest person when it comes to the kids, which isn't right. Yeah. I'm just saying, again, perspective, viewpoints. I mean, to be
fair, he was new also, so I think he was trying to establish power. You know what I mean? And
that always works in high school.
I think he was trying so hard to, like, be that, like, big man who was, like, mean, and so, like, we would listen to him, that it backfired. Yeah. You know what I mean? And we were all just like, you're bad person.
Well, he doesn't need to be a good person for you to learn math.
No, but there are those teachers where you're like, oh, they're irritating, but they're a really good teacher. But he was just, like, both bad attitude, kind of mean, and would just make things a lot more complicated than they needed to be, if that makes sense. So, I mean, overall, whatever. Like, again, also, I'm the type of person where I'm like, oh, I got a B. I was so bad, I failed. And then it's like, bitch, you got a B.
It was nauseating.
So
nobody in this house ever made you feel bad for getting a B.
I know. I put that on myself.
You did that too.
I put that on myself. I know that.
Why? Do you
I'm a
believe
success chaser.
Yeah.
I chase the success.
You know, that just goes to prove that it's not a learned behavior. Because I certainly don't do that. Daddy certainly didn't do that.
I would say Dad probably did it more than you did.
Success chaser?
No, not the success chaser, but where, you know, it was like, if you got a bad grade, you'd probably be like, bruh.
Your father got C's and D's.
I know, that's what makes it ironic. That's what makes it so fucking ironic.
Nope. Not Daddy.
No, you were very much that person where you're like, oh, damn, you failed. Too bad, damn.
Do it again.
Yeah, exactly. You were really chill.
Do it again.
Another thing I wanted to talk about was the idea of grad school, in the way where as I'm approaching graduation, I'm like, okay, what's next? Am I getting a job? Am I going to grad school? And I've had a lot of adults recently really trying to, not you, but a lot of professors and bosses trying to push me in the direction of going to grad school immediately upon graduating undergrad. I'm sorry. If I had unlimited funds and I had taken all my tests really early on and I was super gung-ho about it and I knew exactly what I wanted to do and I had a shit ton of experience, I would do that. But for me, I have very specific goals. I have a certain score I want to get on my testing. I want to bump up my resume a little bit. And also the huge fact of we cannot afford that, ma'am. So I told them, I was like, I just want to wait a little bit before I go back to school. Take a breather.
Can you define for the audience who them is?
My professor is my boss.
Okay. These are people who don't know you very well yet. I mean, they don't know you. They know of you.
Fair.
They know your goals, but they don't understand why anyone would not do that. And they also are trying to encourage you because most of the time
just get it done.
You won't go back, which is, I guess, if you had to look at the data on it, is probably that you wouldn't go back. But I'm not worried about that with you.
But here's the other thing, that you wouldn't go back. Okay, so you found a way to make it work where you didn't need to go back.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
So that's a good thing.
And if you did need it and you ran into a career,
then you'd go back.
Then you'd go back and get it.
So
exactly.
That's my kind of thing where it's like, well, if I find my way and I don't need to go back, why would I spend the money?
That's
to
what
go
unschooling
back?
is about, from what I understand. That's exactly what unschooling is. You will get the education as you need it.
Exactly. They have that idea right. So when I say that I'm gonna wait, I don't mean like I'm going to wait until I'm 35.
You need a gap year or two.
I was saying like I'm currently 20, about to turn 21. I'll be 21 when I graduate. And I'm going to wait until I'm like 23, my guy. I don't mean I'm going to wait until I like have 4 kids and a husband. You know what I mean?
Right.
And even if I did mean that, then that was what my path was supposed to be. Then I don't need to go back to school right now. You know what I mean? But just this whole idea where people are really telling me, like, go back now. You're going to regret it. You're going to regret it. I'm like, my wallet's not going to regret it. Let me tell you that right now.
That's exactly
my
right.
wallet and my ability to feed myself is not going to regret it. And I don't know. They just don't understand that. They're like, take out loans. I'm like, no. I want to find someone or get a good enough score where I don't have to fucking pay for it myself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Wouldn't you rather take 2 years, beef up your resume, which, mind you, is going to get you into better programs, and then have someone else pay for it?
Especially if you're not sure you 100% want to do that for a living.
And another thing is with, like, the loans, my friend and I had a really big conversation about that, where he has a parent who is kind of like a chronic schooler. They just keep going back and getting degree after degree after degree to delay their loans. And now they're over $500,000 in student loan debt. They have over $500,000 in student loan debt. Oof. Isn't that crazy? But it's one of those things where it's like we've been told that if you just keep going back to school, you just keeps delaying the process of having to pay for them. So why wouldn't you just keep going back to school? It's kind of like a double-edged sword.
And you're screwing up the economy, and you're screwing yourself.
Yeah.
And honestly, here's my thought on it. If you absolutely know what you want to do,
then go back.
Then go back, because it's no different than having a mortgage. You know, if you're going to,
Right.
I have a house and I know what my mortgage is, what I owe. It looks ridiculous, but you think, oh, but it's for a house. Yeah, all right. But if I spent that same amount on education, it's worth it. If you know what you're doing. I pay for single classes as I need them.
Right.
And my son pointed out to me, he loves to shove it in my face, that if I had actually gone to a like
an institution
where everything was in one place, I would have had multiple degrees by now.
Probably,
Yeah. But it
you
doesn't
don't
matter.
need it.
I know I'm competent. That's the difference. You got somebody else that's coming fresh out of school, has no freaking clue what they're doing. I know in the bottom of my heart that I can help you get through your problem.
But that's the thing. There are people who have absolutely no degrees that can do what I'm doing 10 times better. There are people who have 7 degrees that can do what I'm doing 10 times better. It's not always about the education.
Yeah, it's a very flawed system, isn't it?
It's a horrible system. And it's so frustrating that we put so much emphasis on it to the point where even I will look at someone and be like, oh, you're 27 and don't have your degree or whatever. And I'm like, oh, well, how'd you go where you are? You know what I mean? And it's like, why do we have so much judgment on people? It matters because education itself is important, but the things that we're learning And the way that the system is set up, I don't think is as great as it could be. Another thing that was kind of bothering me on my search for moving and getting a job and all that was I quickly figured out that if my boyfriend and I combined our salaries of like, again, this is all an estimate because like I don't know what I'm going to be making, but you know, you go on the lower side, whatever. Use Glassdoor, use Indeed, you know, see them average salaries. And I realized if I had him, we would live fine.
But that's normally almost anywhere in the country, though. If you have two people, combined incomes, sharing a household, it's always easier.
But that's kind of fucked up. I do not want to have to rely on my boyfriend to live.
Are we just now discussing the past entire decades and eras of women's problems?
Stop.
Welcome to our world. You just joined the woman. There's jackets. There's womenhood jackets.
Sorry.
Literally, this is why women in the 70s who got the shit beat out of them
No,
didn't
I
leave their
know.
motherfucking asshole husbands, alcoholic pieces of
I'm
shit.
sorry.
Because they couldn't afford it. Where are they going to go with their kids?
Oh, I'm getting yelled at.
I'm sorry. You just triggered
I'm
it.
sorry, but like the fact that you have to rely on someone else, whether it's a man or a woman, that's not what I'm saying,
Right.
but you have to rely on a partner in order to be able to live fine and comfortably.
Again, let me play devil's advocate here.
Yeah, you don't. Is what you're going to say.
No, I'm going to say that it is also very helpful so that we don't all become isolated hermit assholes, that it's okay to, you know, have roommates and then learn to be social, learn to be social. We are supposed to be social creatures.
If anything, I'd rather have roommates because I don't want to isolate myself
safer,
like that.
It's safer, too, to have somebody that knows that you're not home instead of being home alone.
And also, it's like friends that you live with. If you get good ones. If you don't, I'm sorry.
Exactly. So there's two ways to look at that. You can say it frustrates you that you can't live on your own, but I think that's also a ridiculous expectation that you should be making a lot of money.
No, I don't mean live on your own. I'm talking about like even if I were to get roommates, it would still be unsustainable.
That's why a lot of people have 3 roommates.
That's messed up. Well, not that they have 3 roommates, but the fact that even if I were to live with 3-4 other people, I'd be struggling.
I'm going to disagree with that. Your situation is that you do have me. You are my dependent at this point. They're looking at me. So this sustainability that you're talking about, if I was dead and you did not have anybody else, you'd be getting all kinds of monetary
Are you going
help.
to take one for the team? Is that what you're saying?
If I take one for the team, you're rich anyway.
Stop. That's not true.
It's mega true.
That's not true if I have Michael.
I'll take care of him. You don't worry about that.
Anyways, not to get into that kind of stuff. But yeah, it kind of made me realize also just the fact of bringing kids into this world and how, like, do I even want to do that with the way things are going? And just, if I can't even support myself alone, why the fuck would I want to bring someone else in I have to support? Because if I can't give my children... Okay, controversial. Here's choo-choo, here I'm coming. I do not think it's responsible to bring a child into this world if you cannot sustain yourself. Now, that is not to say that you shouldn't if you have an accident here or there. But if you are poor and on food stamps and you're like, I want to have a child, and then you have one, and then you cannot afford to have said child, then that is very irresponsible of you. Okay? You can love that baby. You can support that baby in every way you can. But if you cannot afford to feed and clothe it and give it education and have a roof over its head, then that was very wrong of you, I think. Yeah. That is a very controversial statement.
Well, because there's a lot of offense that can be taken from people who have oopsie babies.
Exactly, but if you have an oopsie baby, like, I get it. However,
Can I just say, I'm going to step in and boss on you real quick.
Okay.
I have 2 oopsie babies of the 3 of you.
Mm-hmm.
Out of 3, guys... You listening? Out of 3 babies, 2 were oopsies.
Was it not irresponsible of you?
Always. Well,
exactly.
It's always
But you acknowledge that it was irresponsible.
If penis goes in vagina, you have to assume there's pregnancy that could happen.
That could happen. Was it not irresponsible? Yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
But you had to make it work. And that's the thing.
But people don't consider it irresponsible if you're married. They don't even consider it an accident if you're married.
Well,
and there's you really want to get controversial. That's the real controversial. When you're pregnant and you're married and that baby was an oopsie. There you go.
Well, if you
Discuss.
can afford the child, then okay, whatever.
It's still irresponsible because if penis goes in vagina,
it still
you can get
is
pregnant.
irresponsible if you didn't want the kid to begin with.
Well, I was on birth control, so there's the argument.
But that's the thing. I'm not saying like, oh, you're a bad person. I'm saying let's acknowledge that it was irresponsible of you.
Just, sometimes things happen and you just go, what?
You can be poor, have an oopsie baby, and then give that child a great life, and you make it fucking work.
That was me and Mike.
Exactly. Exactly.
But I had a lot of help. I had a good support system, and I had a lot of help.
But for me to conceive a child, knowing that I'm struggling, if I make that decision to conceive a child, it's not an oopsie, whatever, and then I have one, and I cannot even sustain myself, that is insanely irresponsible.
I'd love to see the numbers on how many babies on the planet are actually oopsies, but people would lie. People would lie. So, but I mean, if you could actually go to the Akashic records or go to the Universal Library to God and say, "Hey, can I get the data on that?" They're like, "Oh yeah, sure, here you go."
Yeah.
I'd love to see how many babies are oopsies.
Yeah. And me and my friends were also talking about how, because they all kind of agreed with me, where it's like, we really want to give our children like a great life. And then I said, with one caveat, if I'm rich, right, and my children are living a life of luxury, I'm bullying them.
No. Okay, see, my brain literally did 4 things when you said that, because number one, the age-old problem is we talk about the generation like grandma and granddad.
Yeah.
The great people of the world,
yeah.
And then the World War tours, and then you go down a long line, put whatever label on the groups that you want. And it's always been they wanted better for their kids, they did better. Those people became eventually me and daddy, and we were at an era of spoiled shits. Okay, we started the era of spoiled shits. We did,
and now we have the Vineyard Viners.
But the fact remains that no matter how much, it's not the amount of money you make. It's never about the amount of money you have or don't have. It's about having time with your family, your values, discipline, love, respect, and patience.
Right.
And allowing other people to have flaws and make mistakes, and unconditional love. That is what makes it. It's not about having money or not having money. So I think what you were trying to say by "you will bully them" is not that. It's not that. You just I'm not giving you an allowance. Gary, whatever your child's name is. I'm not giving you an allowance. Go earn it.
You really thought I would name my kid Gary?
No,
that is so insane of you.
That was just what came out of my lip flaps.
Yeah, my lip flaps. But just seeing these kids sometimes, they get just everything, and you're like, everything? Okay, if I'm giving my kid everything, you bet your ass I'm sending them to public school to get bullied. Someone's got to do it.
No.
Yes.
Okay, again, I'm going to disagree with you, because public school needs to get cleaned up. Those teachers are not there to raise our kids.
No, I meant by other kids.
I know, but other kids will do better when they have the love and respect at home. If parents would go back to being parents instead of allowing the teachers to do it. Stop freaking,
no, agreed.
I could go off on that too.
Yeah. No, for sure. But you don't think I'm going to be like, Sally, I'm not naming my kid Sally. But
send him to Grangie's house. Grangie and the grandbaby, we will fix it, okay? We will talk about it. We will work this through. You just send him to Grangie, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, my friends just kept on saying, oh, I'm going to give them a life of luxury, all that kind of stuff. I'm like, I'm not.
Well, you can
Cinderella! Get to it! No! They need to do some things.
A lot of the depression and the low self-esteem and the stress and anxiety labels that are out there are based on kids who have not been pushed or been pushed in the wrong direction. They've been pushed and forced into trying to decide what the hell they're expected to do with the rest of their entire life without a future, instead of actually teaching them to do anything. And then everybody's curling into a ball and going, I can't handle this. Because you should not be expected at 21 years old to know what the hell you want to do with the rest of your life. You shouldn't.
Yeah.
Not to say you shouldn't have tried a little of everything. Retail, outdoor work, sewing, everything. Okay. You guys don't get that anymore.
Here's another thing, though, I'm going to say. I saw a TikTok about this the other day, where it was like, if you are 21 years old and you didn't play sports and you didn't have a job ever up until this point, what the fuck have you been doing?
Yeah. Well, let's think about that. What would they be doing? Are they an artist type?
Well, no, I'm saying like, okay, if you're a performer or something like that, like you do something. But if you don't have any extracurricular activities like in high school and you didn't have a part-time job and now you're in college and you don't do any of that, what are you doing? What have you been doing with your time?
Okay, I want to play devil's advocate all day today because now you're on fire and I love that we're back. We're back.
We're back, baby. She's feeling better. She's getting louder.
My question was about an introvert that no one knows what they're doing. Maybe they're readers, maybe they're writers, and they stuffed that book, that book that they were writing deep inside their computer and didn't show anybody. You can't say, what have you been doing?
No,
you
that's
could be dealing
great.
with
but
an
then when I
introvert.
ask you, you say, I've been writing a book.
But they might not tell you that because they don't want to answer to anybody.
Okay.
Or they don't want to show it.
But also, I'm sorry, if you're a reader, that's what you did for 8 years. Mm-hmm. You're a reader. You don't do anything else but read. Mm-hmm. Get another hobby.
No.
You need a second one.
Well, you need to take it a step further and figure out what you want to do with that knowledge.
You can't work at a bookstore also and be a reader.
But see, to me, that I would argue that would actually happen for the person who then decides
but I'm
to
saying
need a
if
job.
you are 21 and you have not had a job or anything, you weren't in athletics. You weren't in performing arts.
I think it would be pretty hard.
I have questions.
I think it would be pretty hard to find.
But there are some.
We're gonna take this part out. But you're talking about gang members and stuff like that. At least they're doing something.
No, at least they have some. They have goals. Okay, they're still moving around.
Oh, that's terrible.
They're still doing stuff. I mean, is it morally great? No. They're hustling. But I mean, again, this all sounds really hypocritical. Being someone who has been really
all hypocrites.
Goo goo gaga the past month, where my mom's been literally making me food. I'm like, mommy, please help me, mommy.
Well, I said to myself that I was going to stop doing it when I knew you felt better, and I was going to slowly let you take over because you need to know what you're up to in your diet when you can't go out to LA without knowing how to do this diet.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
I know. We got it. I think
we're
there.
We got it.
I think we're there.
Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that Spawn's going to do a YouTube channel on this and share her experiences. I really want her to do it. So everybody write in, hit us up on Insta and tell her to do that. Do the YouTube channel.
Like those 2 people who have written in. Keep doing it.
No. It's amazing. I think that's freaking amazing. I want to see you do it because a lot has happened through this.
But yeah, I mean, with all this, there are still some people who I know who are still pretty spoiled.
I'm spoiled. I'll say it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. There's being privileged and spoiled. And when you say spoiled, it doesn't mean you don't appreciate what you have. To me, you're spoiled if you don't appreciate what you have. And every week I write a gratitude sheet.
So then you're not spoiled.
It doesn't mean I don't love what I have. It's like I can't imagine not having my stuff.
Yeah. No, I'm very much like that.
I can't be without air conditioning. Oh my god.
Me literally last episode,
Lord.
I don't like to live without a bag. I don't like to live in a bag because then I don't have all my stuff. And then I can't do all my stuff. And I have to come home because I need to do my skincare.
Air conditioning, baby. If I can't bring a blow dryer with me, I don't want to be there.
Oh my god, do you remember that time we were traveling and I think you blew out the blow dryer in Ireland?
In Ireland!
And then you cried.
I did cry because I went out of my way to buy one with an attachment that literally said it was for their plugs. I went out of my way to make sure it was the correct zone of the correct plugs, and but for some reason that power strip didn't take the power. It blew it, but it didn't blow the wall.
No,
because we had it in a power strip. I just had to replace the poor Airbnb's power strip for them. They were surprised. The lady that had the Airbnb stopped by, and I told her what I did.
I mean, she was kind of like a friend though, too.
She was nice. Well, yeah, because the person we went with knew them already.
But yeah, that was kind of funny looking back. It was sad in the moment. I was like, oh, she feels defeated.
I did.
You looked so sad.
I
think I was irritated. I took the dad role during that trip, I think, where I was just like, nothing's working. Angie, I can't believe you would do that.
And
then you were just like,
I did the research to get the proper tools, and then
I
the
forget
power
what happened
strip,
though. I think it was too high of a voltage. Or something.
The blow dryer was still too strong for the power strip that was there, even with the adapter.
I think so.
I'd love to hear from anybody out there that's got some comments on what we've been talking about. College. Is college worth it?
Y'all need to stop not writing in, okay? Because I get texts from people who are like, oh, blah, 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 like telling me about the shit. I'm like, send it to the Gmail. Like, come on, y'all. Send it to the Instagram DMs.
Talk to the pod.
Talk to the pod. Okay? Because if you send it to me over text, I'm not going to mention it. Well, that's actually not true because I do be talking about some things that I say over text.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for people to come back on dreams because, come on, guys. I know y'all have some interesting ones out there.
I had one friend who came back and was like, no, I'll do it.
But the people contact me constantly and want me to decipher their dreams, and I can help them with it.
You bitches. Send it to the pod. Send it in.
Oh, my goodness. Anyway, so that was episode 13, Emily.
Oh, it's number 13? That's an unlucky number.
13 is not an unlucky number. It is the divine feminine. And it also, here's the other thing, numerologically. 13, you have to reduce. You add 1 in the 3, becomes a 4. 4 is manifesting. What do women do? Women create constantly. Women had power. If women were healers, they were then called witches. And the church came back and said, we can't give women power. Hell no. So what did they do? Then all of a sudden witches were starting to get burned. So that whole number 13 being negative, drop it. It's actually an amazing number.
I like the number 13, actually. I'm not going to lie. I think it's an aesthetically pleasing number.
It is. It's a single and a 3, which is a family. I mean, you think of it's a grouping. But 13 is an amazing number, and we should start looking at it as exactly that, as divine feminine. Woman power.
Okay, guys, I think that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you guys are feeling my energy more.
Yeah,
okay, because I am. Because I fucking am.
I missed her. I gotta tell you, I missed the spawn energy.
The spawn energy. I know, it's kind of sad, though, because we started this when I was sick, so it's like the past 12 episodes I haven't even really been fully myself. Like, I've been myself.
You guys are in for a treat now that she's back.
But she's back, baby! She's ready to go! They're like, now they stop listening. Like, they're like, actually, never mind.
Out their headphones. You need to chill, man.
I'm sorry.
Modulate.
I'm so excited.
Modulation.
I'm so excited to start feeling better.
All right, guys. Well, catch us back next week.
Bye.
Bye.